The most efficient way to make something isn't always the best way to make something. Easily said by a wannabe YouTuber, but in a trade where you could ask 10 different machinists how they would make something, you would get 11 different answers. So clearly there are some liberties taken in the rules of the trade. In my case, that liberty tends to be in the form of a question. Is it possible? Not reasonable, just possible. Because if it is, it could be a lot of fun. Welcome back to Inheritance Machining. Before I dive into any questionable setups, I should probably enlighten you as to what I'm making. I'm making these. They're differential mounting brackets for a race car, but not just any race car, a Formula SAE car. It's basically a bunch of college students that get together to compete internationally with race cars entirely designed, funded, and built by the teams, which is a very underwhelming explanation for how absolutely monumental this task actually is. I know this because I was one of those students, so I'm helping Formula Kentucky again this year. Only this time around, rather than steering components, we're doing something equally important. The differential mounting brackets that prevent the 600cc motorcycle engine from twisting the drivetrain into a big hairy knot. They also look like a lot of fun to make. Even more fun without CNC. Judging by the limited information on the drawing set, though, the team didn't expect anyone to be crazy enough to actually try this. But armed with the original 3D models, I was able to piece together my own drawings specific to how I would want to make them on my manual machines, which left the final challenge of actually doing it. And much like a sculptor starts with a bare hunk of stone, I have to visualize how I'll liberate the bracket from its prison within this square blank, comforting the metal, caressing the metal, worshipping the metal. Because to see the part, I have to be the part. Or I could just print out a template. They've got fillets, webbing, bores, holes. Yes, there's a difference. And rounds. You know, the good stuff. The thing the template doesn't show, though, is the thickness. It's more than this, but less than this. I could have paid McMaster an extra arm and leg and waited 2 more weeks to get precision ground aluminum already at the final thickness, but I figured I can fly cut them down a lot faster than that. And that's exactly what I'm not going to do. Because I have a lathe. You see, in all my time using this machine, there's one feature I've yet to find an excuse to use. The faceplate. Despite its very simple appearance, it's generally reserved for holding oddly shaped parts that you need to turn. Or at least that's how I'm justifying this decision. That and because I just want to. Plus I'll be able to do the bore in the same setup. But before I go slapping this on here, I'd better make sure this faceplate doesn't have any run out. A discovery that wouldn't be my first in this shop. Tooth out, that's not bad. Who am I kidding? I wanted to face this thing anyway. I'll admit, I'm not proud I haven't cleaned this sucker up until I actually needed it. This lack of proactivity spans a lot of my life. But I know this about myself, and that's why I use Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni is a service that, to put it simply, works to clean up your personal information from the internet. Kinda like cleaning up the rust on this faceplate. We all see traces of our details ending up where we never actually went. Why else would my inbox be full of hot local singles looking for me to pet their cats? Or my phone constantly blowing up with concerns about my boat's extended warranty? It's all because data brokers have wrangled up my contact information, address, even social security number, and sold all that juicy goodness to the highest bidder. So then they can scattershot me from all directions with spams, scams, and legs of lamb waiting for me to bite. Really though, the biggest threats are the ones I don't see, and that's the real power of Incogni. Not only do they make cleaning my info from the internet even easier than cleaning this faceplate, they do more than just a surface level job. They'll scour the web inside and out, scrape every nook and sweep every cranny to find your info and hound those companies to remove it until they do, all backed with legal action. Incogni then continues to monitor all those places and make sure your data stays removed, unlike me who will just leave this thing to rust until the next time I need it. So take your personal data back with Incogni, use code INHERITANCE at the link below, and get 60% off an annual plan. One of the tricks to mounting this is leaving the entire outward-facing face free of clamps so I can reduce its thickness. So I printed out new templates with the faceplate shown so I can get a better idea of where I can put the mounting holes. Mounting holes that'll make sense once I get rid of this excess baggage. Waste not, want not, or whatever. Pretty sketchy, just the way I like it. There is one legitimate problem though. Unless I plan to face this a half turn at a time, I'm going to have to dismantle the lathe a little bit. Don't worry, this is completely normal. Why else would they make this part removable? Oh, it's so close. I have an idea though. All right, there we go. It literally doesn't get any closer than that. Oh my gosh. Literally like half a millimeter to spare. All right, we're gonna send it at very slow speed, and I'm gonna stand way over here. Okay, well that's not that fast. But we do need to avoid this. This may be the dumbest thing I've ever done, but jump, jump, jump. Oh, I ran out of room. So there's a pretty significant difference in the quality of the finish across this part. Really, nowhere does it look as good as I want it to, but I have a couple things I can do. First, better carbide, or at least better for aluminum. This one has a sharper cutting edge, making a cleaner cut and a better finish. Second, the VFD. A bit of a hassle, but occasionally increasing the speed as I get closer to the middle helps keep the cutter in that sweet spot of surface cutting speed. Bear in mind, I've done absolutely no calculations on this, so this much better finish is probably all the insert and nothing to do with the dude using it. Side 2 is just more of the same, but I have to admit, this isn't nearly as exciting as I thought it would be. At 12 minutes a pass, I find myself with a lot of time to kill. Perfect. Well, almost. Got a little wavy way out on the free end. Chatter is a mighty harsh word for it though, so considering it's within spec, I'm calling it decorative embellishment and moving on to something even more boring. But not with these. I've got a pretty decent chunk of metal I could save in the middle here, so I'm going to use the trepanning bit. That is not the kind of excitement I was looking for. I suddenly care very little about saving this piece. Alright, that went a lot more smoothly. Some might even say boring. But I got the diameter right on spec, and this little lip in here is exactly where it needs to be. Not to mention the effing bangin' finish. Worth the effort to set up this faceplate. But I'm not done with it yet. I mean, I could probably find a way to machine all the rest of this here on the lathe, which genuinely crossed my mind. But I also have a mill. What? I can be pragmatic sometimes. I ended up revising my special set of drawings 3 times to figure out the best orientation to work on this sucker in the mill because I knew clearances back here were going to be an issue. But I still didn't get it quite right. The spindle's not going to reach the farthest extremities. So I get to use a second machine function for the first time. 2 in 1 video. How exhilarating. At least this one only took 30 seconds, and now that I can reach everything, I have to find it as well. I mean, it's right here, but where is it? The coax finds the center easily enough, but now I have the angle to figure out. Luckily for me, I did a smart and drilled the pilot for the hole out here. So when I move to the coordinates of that hole, I can just rotate the table until that lines up. Which gets me at least close enough to establish a new 0. I'm also going to pop the original 0 off here, just in case. Wouldn't want to look at this guy by accident and mill an ear off or something equally Van Gogh-ish. But before that, holes. Pilot drilling all the inside corners is going to help tremendously with the milling part. at least when it comes to making it all look nice. But there's also another really good reason for this. I don't have end mills for some of these sizes. Some more excitingly elaborate setups could overcome this, but I'm just going to stick with the boring approach. That's all the holes, but not all the curves are holes. Genius. Jokes aside, I have a conundrum. I need to set the boring head to 2 inches, but I don't have a full bore that I can actually measure. But I don't actually need one either, just something to reference, like one of the bores I already did. I know its center position, so I can just subtract the bore's radius, then the radius I want the boring head at, then move to that position and adjust the head until it touches. Actually, almost touches. I do want some fine adjustment for later. From here, we just swoop away a little at a time until I reach the center point of this arc. For that fine adjustment, I'll compare this distance to the model, adjust the head, then finish this pass and whip through the rest.
Swoop, swoop. I forgot that hole.
Now this is starting to look like something. That something may be Swiss cheese, but it's still something. Let's mill. Around revision 2 of 3 of the drawings, I realized it would be better to orient all my cuts along the x-axis because power feed. For the smaller webs, we downsize. Faster RPM, but slower feeds and shallower cuts. You gotta keep the end mill happy. That was not happy. Even watching it back, I can't piece together what happened, but I do see where the end mill ran off to. Still, I got nothing. Maybe just some of that old age arthritis. Luckily, I have a willing replacement on hand. With all the straights and fillets finalized, that just leaves all the rounds. I mean the externally curved stuff, which all conveniently pivots around the center of this table.
Come on.
Okay, this one actually was my fault. That poor little offcut had nowhere to go. Whoops. This one also didn't come without a battle scar. Small, but painful nonetheless. I'm not proud, but I'm so far into this that I'm crossing my fingers that the team is okay with this mostly aesthetic blemish. That's the rounds, but not all of them. I still have the ones around the peripherally located holes, and fancy words require fancy setups. I'll locate them with the gauge pin, tram them square, zero the scale, then sweep the angle I measured from the model. Blemishes aside, this is looking pretty good, so it seems like a good time to cut it in half. And time for another uniquely elaborate setup. I don't really have a good way to cut the counterboards for the holes that go here other than plunging with this end mill, and I expect it'll grab the part, like that. But this is a good thing. That I expected it, I mean, because I intentionally used an undersized mill, so the finishing pass with the correct size cleans that up and is uneventful, as is the rest of the drilling and tapping. And now, the grand finale, or more correctly, the grand separation. But not with this blade. My right eyeball detects a crash, so I'll play it safe with this big boy. No! Okay, it's fine. The parting faces actually look stellar. And on top of that, I got word back from the team that this little boo-boo, literally not a big deal. Which means, this is done. Now I just have to make bracket number 2, which I'm not doing in this video. And I don't feel bad about it either. The goal was never to make a video about haphazardly rushing through vital race car parts, though that lathe bit was a little underbaked. The real reason is to highlight how important this stuff is. These Formula SAE and Formula student teams invest extreme amounts of time and energy into not only making the best race car, but the best themselves. The experience these guys and gals get from Formula SAE is the best they will get of any collegiate program or internship, bar none. So if you're a young aspiring professional, whether in engineering, manufacturing, business, marketing, visual media, seriously, look into your college's Formula SAE team, or switch to a college that has one. And if you're already a professional, consider supporting programs like this, whether with your time or your money. It really does go a long way. Soapbox over. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.